The Book of Esther is already an incredible story of courage and survival, Ian, but what most people don't realize is that there's a whole other version with dragons, prophetic dreams, and dramatic royal court scenes that completely transforms its meaning.
That's fascinating, Pappy, how these additional texts in the Apocrypha take what seems like a political drama and turn it into something much more supernatural and divine.
You know what's really interesting about these additions? The original Hebrew text of Esther is unique because it never once mentions God directly. These later additions change entirely that, adding prayers, divine interventions, and religious symbolism throughout.
So tell me more about this dream sequence with the dragons. It sounds like something out of Game of Thrones.
Well, it's pretty epic. Mordecai has a vision of two massive dragons preparing for battle, representing the cosmic struggle between good and evil. There's darkness, chaos, and then divine light breaking through. It's basically setting up the entire story as part of God's master plan.
Hmm. And this was explicitly added to give the story more religious weight?
Exactly, and there's more. These additions include detailed political documents too, like royal edicts that read exactly like ancient Persian court language. It's fascinating because historians have confirmed that these actually match the formal style of the time period.
That attention to historical detail really helps ground all the supernatural elements. Like they're saying, look, we have the receipts.
Right. And speaking of details, let's talk about what these additions tell us about Queen Esther herself. We get this incredibly intimate moment where she's praying before approaching the king, something that could literally get her killed.
Oh, tell me more about that scene. What does it reveal about her character?
Well, the text describes her heart as troubled with fear, and she has to lean on her maid for support. She actually faints in front of the king. It's an incredibly human moment that shows just how much courage it took to do what she did. The additions make it clear she's not just some fearless superhero, she's someone facing tremendous odds and finding strength through her faith.
That really brings her character to life in a whole new way. These additions seem to be doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of character development.
And you know what's particularly clever about how they did this? They managed to add all these religious elements while still preserving what made the original story so compelling. It's like they're having a conversation with the original text rather than replacing it.
That's such an interesting point about preservation versus enhancement. How do you think these additions affected how different religious communities received the story?
Well, here's what's fascinating. These additions actually help the story resonate across different faith traditions. We know they were vital for early Christian communities, for instance, by making the religious themes more explicit. They actually made the story more universal, not less.
That's quite paradoxical when you think about it. Making something more specifically religious actually helped it cross cultural boundaries.
Exactly. And there's something else these additions do. They connect Esther's story to other moments in Jewish history when God intervened to save his people. They're placing her story within this larger pattern of divine protection and providence.
The way you describe it, it's almost like these additions are creating a kind of ancient cinematic universe that connects all these biblical stories.
That's such a perfect analogy. And just as in modern expanded universes, these additions give us deleted scenes that add depth and context to the main story. They're showing us what's happening behind the scenes, both politically and spiritually.
Well, Pappy, it certainly seems like these editions have helped the Book of Esther remain relevant across centuries and cultures.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Ian, these additions show that sacred texts aren't frozen in time. They're living documents that communities engage with and reinterpret to meet their spiritual needs. It's a reminder that sometimes the best stories leave room for future generations to add their own understanding and interpretation.